Yo, what's going on, guys? So y'all smashed 2,000 likes on that video that I told you to do so. And I said if you did, I'm going to show you guys my settings and talk about all of it. So I'm going to do just that in this video. I will also be going over elite settings at the end. So first off, let's start with basic settings. The most notable change here is I moved from 9.7 to 7.7, or I guess 0.7.7 rather. I am very happy that I did this just because my consistency improved a bunch as far as my shot is concerned. My game in general just got more consistent with a lower sense. So if you are struggling to stay consistent, then I do recommend switching to a lower sense, such as 7.7. It's a perfect sensitivity for myself. And my gameplay. Controller targeting sensitivities at 0.3 and controller scopes at 0.3. I've played around with this and I could go from like anywhere from like 0.25 to like 0.35 and I hit my shot. I don't know, a lower just feels better for me. It could be faster for you. I don't really know how to judge these, to be quite honest. It's just whatever feels right. Controller building sensitivity, I'm at 1.51. It's very consistent. I love that. I'm thinking about upping it to like 1.63 or 6.4 around there, because I did do that before and I was pretty consistent, but I ended up lowering it just to be more consistent. So I don't know, we'll see how that goes. That might be the one thing that I change after making this eventually, but yeah, just keep that in mind. And obviously, if you guys don't know, if you want to know what your building sensitivity actually is, just multiply your X and Y sensitivities by this multiplier and that'll tell you what that actual value is for your building sensitivity. Alright, now moving on here, all this is unchanged. Sprint by default is on. That is crucial because I use my left thumbstick for something else, which I'll get into in a sec. So sprint by default needs to be on. There's literally no downside to this. If you're contemplating putting this on, there's no downside at all, so don't worry about that. It's actually the exact same as if you have it off, except it's just more beneficial because you don't have to think about running. Now sprint canceled reload, definitely off. Tap to search, interact on. Toggle targeting off. I've never had that on, I don't think. Reset building choice, definitely on. Aim assist OP, bro. You gotta have that on. Edit mode, aim assist off. I've actually been playing with this and like going back to having it on, and it's not as bad as it used to be. I don't know if like they changed it or something, but it actually doesn't feel that bad. But anyway, I'm gonna stay with it off just because I like how it feels. Turtle building definitely on. Auto material change on. Controller auto run off, definitely off. Auto open doors off. You don't want to be doing that. Auto pick up weapons. That's a debatable one. You could get away with that, and I've actually been thinking about turning that on, but I don't know. For me, it's just I get to the gun, I pick it up. I don't really want to be shuffling through guns that I don't want. But anyway, auto sort consumables to the right. That's a really big like option to have. Definitely turn that on. It helps a lot early game with quickly sorting your stuff and then just moving on into the action. Builder Pro, build immediately. I definitely have this on. This makes your 90s so much faster and all of your builds in general much more faster. Now the controller edit hold time doesn't apply to me because I have edit mapped to its own button. So this nullifies this entire option. A lot of people ask me about this. They're like, what's your edit hold time? How is it so fast? It's not, this option doesn't apply to me because I have my edit mapped to its own button. So don't worry about that. Vibration, I play with it on, surprisingly. I might turn it off at some point, but honestly, I like the way it feels. Yo, they have a creative... Bruh, I'm gonna turn that on. That's lit. I was looking for this. I was like, why did I not get to save this 1v1 with this dude? And I wanted to see like how he was whooping me so hard. And, okay, well, there you go. That's on now. Anyway, go ahead and apply that. Go into HUD. Everything's unchanged here. I haven't touched this at all, so looks like all that's on. Brightness, haven't changed it. Let me talk about this actually. So you guys ask me all the time, like, how does my screen look so good? First off, I have a BenQ monitor. I don't think that honestly applies to it too much though. The biggest thing is that I have an Xbox One X. This makes the guns glow. This makes the brightness and all that stuff just look phenomenal. The Xbox One X does a great job with its graphics settings, and honestly it just looks so much better than the standard Xbox One or even the Xbox One S. It looks way better, and you guys always comment like, what's your settings, what did you change? I didn't change anything, everything's default. It's literally just an Xbox One X. Okay, so moving on, all this stuff is unchanged, all that stuff's unchanged. Alright, controls. Here we go. Right, so I've shown this in a video before, but I'll show it again. Nothing's changed since the last time I showed this, by the way. So the main thing that you want to do is try to keep your right thumb on your right thumbstick at all times because that's where you aim with, right? So you need to try to map all your buttons to other things that allow you to do that. So one way I did this was moving my reload, interact, and trap button to my left thumbstick. I didn't really do this for the reload aspect, but I did it more for the traps because it just comes in so handy when you can actually look around while you place traps. So anyway, for this screen, combat controls, right? We have reload, interact on left thumbstick. If I go to the build controls, I have trap, picker, place, and interact all on left thumbstick. And then obviously nothing in edit controls. Okay, going back to combat. The other thing that I changed was my edit. I made it solely X, and so that's across the first two. Yeah, build controls and combat controls, they both have edit on X. And then obviously confirm is also on X. So that's how I confirm the edit, right? And you do that within the edit controls. And if you guys are having issues getting your edit and confirm button on the same bind, I think the reason is like you've messed with custom bind before. You have to go and like see on my bottom left screen it says press X to reset. Do that and go to Builder Pro and then make a clean slate, right? Start all the way over and then in one go make these two screens edit and then that one confirm and then hit save. Don't go out of it, go back in. That's gonna mess it all up and that just creates glitches. So that just keep that in mind. Now anyway, confirm is on X, edit's on X. Now I use a paddle on my Elite controller for X, so I don't actually hit the X button. Once again, I'll go over the Elite settings and the paddles and stuff at the end. So just know though that I'm not actually pressing X. That's just to give it a button so that I can use my paddle. And once again, I don't have to move my right thumb off my thumbstick to hit that. Now switch mode is on B still. So one thing I did have to change is I had to go to the switch. This is usually switch mode / edit. Make sure you change this to just switch mode. And do this at the same time that you assign your edit and confirm button on your settings. So yeah, make sure you do that. And that is not on a paddle. I'm trying to get this on a paddle because it is going to help me slightly, and actually a lot. But right now it's more important for me to have edit and jump on paddles. And by the way, I'm only using 2 paddles. It's just most comfortable for me right now. So yeah, that is my one downside to my controls, is that I have to move my right thumb to hit switch mode. Lastly, I have jump on A, which this one is once again assigned to a paddle. And that one, obviously, I didn't change anything. I just added a paddle and mapped it to the A button. Anyway, going to build controls, once again, I have the left thumbstick on trap, picker, place, and interact. And then, obviously, edit, switch mode, jump. There's literally nothing changed here except for that. Going into here, the only thing I did was have confirm, I believe. Yep, that is all that has changed. My reset is still on right thumbstick. That just feels good to me. I don't have any glitches with it. And yeah, it works, so why not, right? Alright guys, so let's get into the Elite controller settings. So what you want to do if you do get an Elite controller for your Xbox, go into your settings and then go into connect and devices. Devices and accessories. This comes automatically with the Xbox. Whenever you plug in your Elite controller, this will pop up. So you have this whole configuration set up, and I've played with this significantly. So one thing to note about the controller is that you see in the middle of my controller there's a 1 and a 2. You have 2 different settings, so I'm set on the second setting right now. But let's go ahead and configure. Yeah, so you go here, right, you press A and you go over to this little pencil tool to edit it. And I haven't really named this appropriately, but it's whatever. So let's first go over the buttons because that's the most important. So obviously, like I said, my A button, I actually unmapped my A button to force myself to jump with the paddle. That's one way to like force yourself to learn, and you're gonna be a bot at first. I was a bot for like 2 weeks, but it forced me to learn to like go to my paddle to jump rather than press A, which I've been doing for years. So that's a good way to learn that, right? Now nothing's changed except if we go to the paddles, which I really don't even need to go to them, but just to show you, my upper left paddle is mapped to the X button. So this, if you have an Elite controller, I'm showing this, that way you know like how this works. You put the upper left and then you want to map it to the X button. So that way you're pressing your upper left paddle to do the X button function. So as you can see on the controller at the bottom, you can see the X and the A, the B. So you can see I've played around with B on the lower left and the upper right. I just cannot get a third paddle in a position that I like. So those you can ignore. The two B's, ignore them. The upper left paddle I'm using for X as to edit, and then my lower right I'm using as A to jump. I use my ring finger to hit the lower right paddle to jump, and I use my middle finger to hit the upper left paddle, which is X, to edit. So that is it as far as controls go. Now if we go to the sticks, I've put the sensitivity curve to aggressive. Someone recommended this to me in one of my comments. Shout out to him, I absolutely love it. Even though I didn't really feel a difference. I mean, there's a small difference, and I mean, it worked. I didn't have an issue with it, so I just kept it. That's pretty much how I went about doing that. My right stick, I played around with like instant and smooth, but I like at the beginning when I first got my controller, but I just like the way default feels, honestly. I might go to smooth because I've heard that's a really good option for aiming, but maybe in the future. As of right now, I'm on default. Triggers, I have them both, like the slightest tap will place something. It works for me just because if I'm being shot at and I need to place like a ramp down or a wall, then I instantly will place it like as the fastest amount of time possible. There's no quicker way than 0-1, I don't think. Anyway, that is it, I think. Yeah, all this is unchanged. So yeah, if I missed something, I will try to respond or like make a pinned comment about it, but I believe I hit everything. If you did enjoy, do drop a like. It really helps out the channel. I really appreciate it, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.